Tim, where have you worked?
I worked at Microsoft. I've worked at Facebook. I've worked with Google. All within the last 5 years, man.
Wow.
All within the last 5 years.
How old are you?
I'm only 24.
You're only 24.
Deep,
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Do you know what I was doing at 24? I was working in banking.
Why were you in banking?
So that's a very good question.
That was the popular thing back then, man.
Because when I started my career at 19 years old in 2002.
Yeah.
Okay, actually take a couple steps backward. When I decided to drop out of high school at 17 and get my GED, the best job I could get was selling shoes. That's the only job I could get if I didn't want to flip burgers. It was selling shoes, making $5.50 an hour, and for every $1,000 I sold, I would get $50 commission.
Wow.
I'm a year into selling shoes, working at a mall, working 7 days a week, and then one day I started thinking, wow, I'm a high school dropout. Like, this really sucks. So I decided to go lease apartments for a year. And during this process, I really developed my interpersonal skills. So a lot of people don't know this about me. I'm really an introvert. I'm an only child. So like you would never know when you look at
this guy, an introvert.
You would never know if you met me or if you see the online persona. But I grew up as an only child, and I was always shy as a kid. I was always that kid that would be afraid to go up to people and introduce myself. And working in retail allowed me to really develop that persona that you guys see today, that confidence, that swagger. So let's fast forward to 2002. Banking's real hot back then.
Super hot.
I get a job at 19 years old working for Citigroup, which was one of the biggest banks in the world. They still are. And I wanted to be a banker. That's really what I wanted to do.
Hot then.
Yeah, there was no internet marketing.
There was social media.
There was social media.
There was like no internet.
Right?
But that's the thing. There was social media. It was called AOL.
Yeah, it was AOL.
And then it evolved right around, I got on MySpace in 2006. So MySpace kind of came to that mix in the early 2000s. But this whole gig of internet marketing and brands and personal brands, like that didn't exist back then. So I started my career journey where you guys see me now in 2008 when I was 25. That's why I give respect to a young man like you that's 24, because I remember what I was doing at 24 wasn't what you were doing with all these companies behind me. And I lost my job in the banking industry. And it was as a result of that job loss due to the recession and the economy at the time where I had to pivot. And within myself, I had to ask myself the question, what am I going to do next? I've got a young family. I have no college degree to fall back on. I don't have big brands on my resume. So what am I going to do? And my only path was to start up my own business. I tapped into LinkedIn the day I lost my job, started building my brand. So like, I'm OG LinkedIn, right? I see the stuff that like you and like your crew and your homies do. I'm like, I love it. Because these guys are on it now. But I was doing this a decade ago.
It's a different culture now.
But I was doing the same things a decade ago. And I tell you, what helped me build the network I have today was actually learning how to growth hack member data on LinkedIn. My first day working at LinkedIn as an employee, which was March 16th, 2015. All new hires at LinkedIn have to introduce themselves. And we had an all hands with the CEO, Jeff Weiner. So he wants to know one unique thing about you. And I get up and I'm letting all the new hires know that I leveraged LinkedIn to grow a business by growth hacking their platform. And he's like, wow, how'd you do that? I said, very simple. In 2008, when I lost my job, I had no money to grow a business. Zero. I literally got 9 weeks severance pay. And what I did was I started joining these groups. And I realized as I was joining LinkedIn groups, every time I would join, I'd get an email sent to me from LinkedIn, but it had text from the group owner. And a lot of these group owners were driving people back to their website. So I said, aha, light bulb went off. I learned how to code and build an online job board. And I was like, all right, there's a bunch of people losing their jobs and they're all flocking to LinkedIn.
Because it was around the recession.
It was around the time of the recession. So there's all these people flocking to LinkedIn. That's right. So I created a website and then a group called Jobs Direct USA.
I remember this.
And then I created a Jobs Direct USA group for every major city in the US. Atlanta, Miami, New York, Chicago, LA, you name it. So what would happen was as people were going onto LinkedIn, they're looking for groups. What are they doing? They're typing, if they're in New York, they're typing in New York jobs. If they're in Chicago, Chicago jobs. If they're in the US and they're looking for jobs in the US, they're typing in USA jobs. So my group very quickly grew. And what I would do was I would have an automated response. All the groups were on private. So upon requesting to join, you would request to join, and then you would be triggered an email that would go to you from LinkedIn that I wrote. And it would say, while we review your membership application, go to jobsdirectusa.com
That's good.
And submit your resume as a candidate, or here's a coupon code for a free job posting on us.
Wow.
I went in 1 year from having 0 emails in a database to having over 100,000 emails.
That's it.
That all originated from LinkedIn. All LinkedIn members.
LinkedIn's so powerful, man.
We're living in a different age now.
Yeah.
I mean, even with me, the opportunities I've had on my resume with Microsoft, Facebook, Google, you name it.
Yeah.
I've facilitated it through LinkedIn,
Yeah.
leveraging social media.
100%.
As you should.
Yeah.
Right? To use it as a communication channel.
That's right.
Build your brand, build your professional visibility, as I like to term it. And a lot of people just don't have that mindset now.
Not at
they
all,
think
man.
social media is like play. Like, I'm not there to play. I'm there to communicate.
Yeah.
And that's a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it is an imperative, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're in corporate America, it is your mission. It should be every person's mission to think of themselves as a little media company. I mean, and this is what Gary Vee is spouting to a bunch of young kids. He's saying, you got to think of yourself as a little media company because you never know what's going to happen. You got to be putting content out there for whatever you're passionate about, and it has to be out all over the place, man.
What I say to that as a follow-up is you have to think of yourself as a walking, talking, living resume. When I was your age, young man, I would walk into a job with a suit.
Yeah.
All right, nice shirt and tie, my shoes shine, my hair done right.
He still does that.
Yeah, I'd walk in. Real talk. Yeah. I would walk in with a nice leather portfolio.
Oh yeah.
Because here's the thing that people don't realize about being a high school dropout, being a minority on top of that, I'm of Cuban descent, and also not having a college degree.
Man,
you have to step up
against you.
The game. The odds are stacked up against you, so you got to step up the game from an aesthetics. Just aesthetics. And what I mean by aesthetics is what people see on the outside. So again, at 24 for me, the aesthetics were literally walking in with a suit, a leather-bound portfolio, a Mont Blanc pen,
like you're on a different level.
It's you're going for a part-time job, but you're walking in like you're the CEO.
Dang, man.
Right? And you gotta have that mindset though. So I see this happen now where people think that's okay to chill and to wear sneakers and jeans. And it's like, look, man, that might be okay when you're on the job. But before you get the job, you got to dress to the nines, man, because people are judging you. Whether you think they are, they're not.
But I think, go ahead.
You have to have your own style.
Yeah.
You have to have your own authentic style. Because I think to a degree, it is a matter of stepping up to the plate, whether through aesthetics or in your mindset. But at the same time, too, is find your balance. Because often what I notice is that people try to maybe elevate themselves through aesthetics and they get lost. They're like, okay, who am I now?
This
right?
me?
Is this really me?
Yeah.
Am I being authentic still? And with me, I could do the suit, I could do the professional or the casual, but at the same time, I bring the same energy to the table. Regardless, my energy is up, positive. Mindset is right. I bring value. A lot of people is they step up their game, but just don't bring any value.
You know what trips a lot of people out? And I want to hear your thoughts on this, John. The panel interviews. The room that we're sitting in right now reminds me, you mentioned energy, and that brought me back to thinking about being in rooms like this where literally I'm at the head of the table, there's people on both sides, there's a person at the other end. And again, that energy, it's that's the right hook. Is, hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm really excited to be here. And then, a firing squad is going to ask you a bunch of questions. Be able to look at people in the eye, knowing that they're judging you, again, because you necessarily don't fit their profile of what they're looking for. So bringing that over to today's generation, I always say, man, that you are a resume. Everything about you, everything that's searchable, everything that you're putting out there is a part of your real-time resume, because back in the day, it was all about the aesthetics and the piece of paper that you would give them and they'd read it.
How thick is the paper?
And a lot of people always say that LinkedIn is your resume. To a degree it is. But everything else that you're projecting to the world is how people are perceiving you.
Perception is reality, man. Perception is reality. But I mean, it's context specific though. So I want to get your take on this though, because when you talk about dressing to the nines, I've had this debate, and I used to think that was the thing, but it's really context specific, right? Because you're not going to necessarily walk into Google or Facebook and wearing the three-piece suit.
But why not? When I interviewed at LinkedIn, I walked in with a three-piece suit.
See, I don't know though, man.
Honestly, it's who
I think it's changed a bit.
I think it depends on who you are. What do you want to perceive
That's
that?
right. What do you want to be perceived
because honestly, I have when it comes to my personal style, whether it be professional, casual, it's very eclectic. I actually dress based on mood and feeling.
Sure.
Okay.
what I feel that day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, whenever I dress up, if it's to like a really nice fancy event, maybe I'll be more, you know, intentional in like dressing up, right? Having a nice little blazer, some nice little shoes.
Sure. I mean, we've done that.
Yeah, we've done that, right? But then there's other times where I'm like, I don't need to do that if I'm going to work. Yeah. I could just dress like the way I'm currently dressed right now, right? Yeah. Like I could feel like me, right?
Yeah.
My most comfortable self. And
that's right.
I think it's a matter of knowing the context you are in.
Absolutely.
But really dressing for comfort, right? Whether it be professional or casual. I think a lot of young people today, like going into work, they think that they have to be someone that they're not.
That's right.
And that's scary to me.
That's tough, man. You walk this fine line of like, how do you want the world to perceive you? But like, yeah, you're trying to elevate yourself to like a different level, and it's not necessarily you, but you think other people are going to judge you for it.
Other people will judge you.
They will.
But like that's a fact. People will judge you.
Yeah, that's a fact.
People will judge you. Like,
that's a fact.
I think one of the things that's helped me throughout my career at the different brands I've worked for is I always go in like a chameleon. I do my due diligence first of all. No, I do my due diligence, and first of all, I research the person that's going to interview me. LinkedIn,
I love doing that, bro.
LinkedIn, and here's LinkedIn is one of the greatest resources that we have access to. But I can't tell you how many times, whether it's someone having me on a podcast or it's someone jumping on a call with me for work, someone doesn't take 30 seconds to look me up on LinkedIn to know anything about me.
Right.
So we're just having this blind conversation with each other.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times, if it's a job interview, especially since we're talking about this, where if it's a phone interview, I just take a couple seconds to run a Google search, type in the person's name, type in the company name, go to LinkedIn.
You have to.
Yeah, and get to understand like where they worked, what they do. I know what they look like too, because let's face it, judgment works both ways.
That's right.
So you can kind of feel this person and be like, all right, like I kind of know this based on looks. Maybe I say things a certain way. Maybe I present myself in a certain way.
I mean, whether we want to or not, we enter those biases.
We do. It's fact. So I think like once you're on the job, if you want to dress a certain way, dress a certain way. But if you're going into work wearing Gucci and Supreme, and your boss isn't wearing Gucci and Supreme, no, seriously, and they're wearing Eddie Bauer and they're wearing a vest like this,
they're not going to get it.
You have to also think, what's the perception going to be of me? Because these are things that weigh in people's minds. Like this is the real talk that isn't spoken about enough
in the
openly in the real world.
You're right.
And that's prejudice and judgment and bias.
It's there.
If you don't look a certain way, if you don't dress a certain way, if you don't speak a certain way, people will think a certain way. But I remember being at Winn-Dixie, my first corporate job where I was running social media for a brand. It was in Jacksonville, Florida. Man, the first month on the job, I can't tell you how much money I spent at Joseph A. Bank. I went to Joseph A. Bank, man. I got penny loafers, slacks,
the penny loafers,
nice shoes. Like, dude, I got like nice Michael Kors watches. I was going into work every single day to sit in a cubicle with penny loafers, dude. To look like bossed up. And people were looking at me like, who is this guy? Right? But again, it's that perception. So I know like one of the things and I'd love to hear this from you guys too, like just speaking openly. One of the things I always masked was education, because I cannot compete with someone that has an MBA on paper. Can't compete with them. Now you want to start throwing experience, real world experience in the mix. Managing teams, multi-million-dollar budgets, deals, P&Ls, all that, marketing. Oh hell yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
All flipping day. Let's go toe to toe. But on paper, when it comes to education, right around the age of 30, I started saying, you know what, I'm gonna start embracing the experience I have. But before the age of 30, that conversation never came in. So I always used to mask that vulnerability or that weakness, if you will, which nowadays I embrace. Curious to hear your thoughts.
With me, man, I have to say I was encouraged to go to school. It was forced upon me. Go to college.
That's right.
Make sure your grades are great in high school. Make sure you get that master's degree if you need to get that higher paying job. So my mindset has always been educate myself as much as possible. But what I realized is that we're not living in a day and age where you can thrive in an industry. And before you even get into the workplace with that one, there's content creators on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, multi-million-dollar media content creators, right? They have their own companies. They're producing because they realize, well, let me find a niche and let me give value through my brand, what the content that I love or the things I love to do. Even with me now, I do a lot of community building, and I've created opportunities for myself through that.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the community building I do, it does facilitate the content creation. It facilitates into event organization. Yeah. But I've been able to understand that it's really a matter of, if I want to focus on bringing people together, how does that create value for people bring me opportunities? So I don't need a degree for that.
Yeah,
you do not need a degree to be a good person.
But you got to deal. But the problem is, like, if you're entering the workforce, right, you have to play the game.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Amen.
And
you have to.
The people, the gatekeepers are playing that game.
They
right?
are.
And so
for now, that'll change.
I mean, I agree that'll change at a certain point, right? But like I fundamentally believe that you have to hedge your bets.
Yeah, you do.
Right? I mean, if you look at just the data on the income from the average person who does not go to college, right? It is actually a lot lower.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and we're not talking like you made it out, right? Like you made it up, you made it out, but like you are an anomaly in a lot of cases, right? And like that's tough, right? Because like you can't get into Google, you can't get into
Facebook. I feel like an anomaly, and I still have all the education in the world, dude.
Right?
Why is that?
I seriously, because I go to these spaces.
Yeah.
I still don't see people that look like me, man.
Yeah. That's right.
Like I am still an anomaly, man.
That's right, man.
That's another reason why I think it's so important now. You have to always create value and be a voice in the space.
What does that mean? Let's break down that word value, because I think it is I think it is very much a buzzword that's used.
Yeah,
it's thrown around, man, all the time.
Like community,
hustle.
Yeah.
All these like catchy buzzwords.
Yeah.
So break it down.
Value creation for me is understanding how you can meet people halfway and satisfy their needs, man. Like that's simply it.
Yeah.
People have needs in this world. They want to be better professionals.
Right.
They want to do better for their community.
Right. That's right.
How do I, as a person, someone that calls himself a community builder, someone that believes in creating value, how do I help people be better in their careers?
That's right.
My career mentorship community, mentors and mentees, I mean, the most powerful thing about it is that it gives people a space to come together, simply put, and learn from each other. I'm not doing anything whimsical. I'm not doing anything magical.
What you're doing is you're bringing people together.
That's it.
And it's called community building.
Yeah.
And I think that by the time you're 30, you will have such a big community that you'll be writing books about how to start a community.
Yeah.
That's monetizable.
Yeah.
People will pay to know how to start a community, because guess what? All these brands out here that are billion-dollar entities have very little community in reality on social media.
Yeah,
but
so true.
You know a formula that people will pay. I think you will be someone that will start probably hosting conferences or events for these large communities, right? So that's my interpretation of when I see the value that you're bringing, because you're bringing people together. And by the way, I just want to say, John from Amazon, because before we talked about Tim and his background. Cool. So like,
well, here let me tell you one more thing about value, right? So like we're talking about value creation. So you got to create value by bringing value to other people, right? And there are those perceptions and those guardrails that are up, right? People at the gate of corporate America have to see the value somewhere, right? They have to see the value on paper because they're trained to see the value on paper, right? But now you and I have taken that value. I mean, we're in corporate, right? We've taken that value to a different level because people know us. They feel like they already know us by the content we create, right? So we're creating value for people at scale outside of our jobs, right? And also people in our roles, we're also creating value, right? Like we're doing it internally and we're doing it externally. I think that's really important.
Can I ask you guys this question though?
Yeah.
Do the people that you work with at Amazon and in your case, Tim, at Microsoft, do they see your content?
For sure.
Yeah.
So we're getting some head nods. Like a lot of people are seeing, like, are you guys the popular guys on campus? Like you're walking through the cafeteria and people are like, hey, I just saw your latest post on
when
I
go to work,
Instagram.
I mean, I'm humble. I'm still the same Tim.
Right. Yeah.
Like my content is my content.
Right.
I think everyone should be producing content.
Yeah, totally.
Like why are you at work and not producing content outside of work? We are living in the gig economy.
That's right.
We're living like you need to be a producer.
That's right.
So when I go to work, I'm still the same person and I'm humble. Like, you see my content, that's me.
But it's also
like I have a conversation with me about it.
Right.
For a reason, right?
But it's also that you're not you're not creating content just for ego.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference, man. You're creating content to help people, to build community, to help people in their careers. That's different, right? So like when somebody sees you in the elevator, like, I love your stuff. You're like, thank you. It's not,
thank you.
Yeah, like, sure,
I appreciate you.
Sure, like it touches on your ego like a tiny bit because like somebody knows me or whatever, but it's not about that, man.
It's not about that.
I had some dude hit me up in the elevator, man, and he was like, yo, bro, I love your content. Like at work, I'm like, that is the weirdest experience.
I just asked because like there's a couple ways to look at this, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to present these scenarios. So I think a lot of people work to become discovered by creating content on the outside. Right. What's around them? Right. They want to be known on Instagram. They want to be known on Twitter. They want to be social media famous. Yeah. Right. But no one that they work with knows the talent that they have.
Wow.
Because to do stuff like this, to do what we all do, you have to have an ounce of talent and confidence. That if you get 10 views, go ahead.
Personality.
Yes. But I'm going to drop it like it's hot. I want to know why, since your companies and the people that work in there see what you do, why aren't you guys the face of your companies? Think about that. Why isn't corporate communications at Amazon or at Microsoft going to you and be like, man, John, Tim, I love what you're doing. You know, we've got this customer campaign. We're going to fly you out for the next month, and we're going to do all these customer journey stories where you're going to be documenting the experience of like what it's like to be on site. Because I know when I was working in corporate, I was doing all this stuff that I do today, right? Yeah. And I was almost like at one point like, man, maybe I should just keep this on the DL, not even talk about it all that loud because it might raise some red flags to people internally that like I'm setting myself up to leave. I'm creating this brand on the back of my employer. Wow. So I went through that. Even at working at a company like LinkedIn, you have to go through training to speak on stages when representing the company when before I was even hired, that was something that people on the outside were seeing me do. And then people on the inside were like, hey, this is great. Like you've got stage presence. We need that. Yeah. So again, like curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, actually, I was getting a lot of opportunities within Microsoft to work on corporate communications. In fact, I shared a video on LinkedIn a few months ago around the future of work, and those opportunities actually do come within Microsoft today. They are kind of sponsors for that growth culture, growth mindset, and when you see people with talent that can do things others can't, elevate them, right? Yeah. So within Microsoft, I've seen those opportunities, but I want to touch on a little bit of what you mentioned, Carlos, in which that people are scared to be visible because they're scared about what others in their workplace think about them. Yeah. And that is, like, I think, a really sick mindset that I've seen in corporate America today. Yeah. And it really...
Why are they afraid? Let's go deeper on that.
Okay. Because...
Why do they have that fear?
Because, honestly, man, the way I've seen it is that they don't... Jealousy, right? When people start seeing you ahead or like you're doing things that make other people happy, people want that. So it's like almost like, am I going to lose my job because I have a voice?
Yeah.
Right.
But there's also
that's so crazy.
But for example, before I went off on my own, the last company I worked for, I had a great relationship with my CMO. I had a great relationship with my boss, who was at SVP, and both of them were in agreement that me speaking on stages representing the company was an advantage. It was a good thing. It was embrace. Yeah. It was like, hey, take some PTO to go do your thing, but like no questions asked. Yeah. And then I remember in like the last 6 months of me working for this company, the CMO leaves. So now like my security blanket got taken out from under me. Yeah. And my boss one day was like, hey man, like people are starting to ask questions. They're starting to wonder, do you got one foot in here and do you have one foot somewhere else?
That's the thing.
Are you self-promoting yourself when you're on stage because you're trying to set yourself up to leave the company?
Oh my God.
These are things that happen.
But that's corporate America, man. That is corporate America because there's so much fear around. If I'm not illustrating that I am fully devoted to this company, then I'm not going to be the one that's up for promotion. Yeah. Like, that is the mindset, dude. Yeah. So not only do we all have our own fears and neuroses, because that's normal. Like, people tend to have fear about what other people are going to think in general. Right? Yeah. And I think that's amplified in corporate America, right? Yeah. Because you are a role. Your persona is, I am John, I'm this senior blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right? So that's my persona. Yeah. And if you step out of that persona, everybody in that arena that you're playing in is like, whoa, you are not that persona, right? And that happens in your family, right? That happens at work, right? This is a
I think like you mentioned the word persona. I think we all have an online avatar. As much as this word authenticity and other buzzwords thrown out there, I think we all have an avatar. I have one. Right? Like
you do.
When I go home at the end of the day, I'm not, hey, I'm not like that guy. I'm myself, much more toned down, much more relaxed, much more chill. I would probably think that both of you gentlemen are the same. Like you're less amplified when you're not on stage. Like being on a cell phone,
energy, because you gotta have energy.
Being on a cell phone is a stage.
Yeah.
Doing what we're doing here is a stage.
That's true. That's
so
true.
you over amplify yourself. I know for a fact what happens when you're at work is you're in professional grind mode. So what if companies start saying, you know what? We're paying influencers all this money, right, to do a one-time endorsement of our brand. Right. We're paying all these ad agencies all this crazy amount of money. But you know what? We got Tim, right, that's in this department that has a following online and a really good personality. Why don't we just develop him to be a voice and a face for us? Why don't we do the same thing with John, because he knows YouTube. He's already in YouTube. And guess what? Every company's struggling with penetrating through YouTube, but yet there's kids in their mom's house that are doing just fine on YouTube.
I think that's the future of work.
I think that is the future.
Connecting you with the right opportunities.
That's it. Right? Opportunities that fit your skill set, what you can do.
Because I know, like, just speaking for myself, right? If I work with a brand, as not as Gil Media, but as Carlos Gil, the brand wants to work with what you guys see online. Yeah, they want that. They want the energy. They want the passion. They want the production. All that stuff, right? But I have to then put my agency hat on, right? When we're talking about contract negotiation.
Oh, heck yeah.
When we're talking about strategy. I'm not in a meeting doing any of that stuff. I'm in a meeting being strategic. I'm being in a meeting as a professional. So you're getting that version of me. I was in January at the headquarters for a client of mine down in Florida. And one of the guys in the meeting kind of like fanboyed for a moment. Was like, oh man, like I know everything about you. I love your content. And it was like, oh shoot, like I'm not here in that mode. I'm not here in that mode right now. I'm here to like collect that check and secure the bag. You know what I mean? And he's like, yo, can I pick your brain like privately for 30 minutes? I was like, yeah, man. Like, let's spend an hour in your cafeteria and chop it up.
Give me the deal?
You know? I mean, it helps. Like, the feedback that you're gonna give to your boss when you go back in. Sure, but like. That's like where I sit here and like analyze. Like I always think of myself as like a hybrid, right? Hybrid creator, but I'm not an all-in creator. And then
you're a businessman,
right? It's like Jay-Z.
I
like to think of myself as like a Cuban American Jay-Z. I can jump on stage, right? And I can do the whole Instagram thing. I can do the whole vlog thing. And I can monetize that. And I know how to monetize that talent. But at the end of the day, I'm also a businessman, and I know how to put that talent aside and now flip the switch and be able to sell to you. I was having this conversation with my man John before you walked through. When you work in corporate America, you learn a skill set that you don't learn in college. You learn a very specific skill set that is priceless. You can't even put a 6 or 7 figure, 8 figure number on it.
What is it?
The ability to speak people's language.
It's the ability to speak corporate though, man.
That is the superpower. I was saying to John, when I was looking to leave corporate, I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh man, how am I going to replace a 6-figure salary? Like, those thoughts went through my head. But I started analyzing what's my value proposition as a independent, self-employed agency. What's my value proposition? There's a lot of people that know what I do, that know what I know. There's a lot of people that do what I do.
But what's my value proposition?
But what's my value proposition to a potential client? And you know what it is? A lot of people know social media, but not a lot of people have experience ever doing this in the 4 walls of a corporation. They just don't.
Sure.
That's the value proposition.
Your pitch.
But you found that.
That's the pitch.
You found
That's the pitch.
That's the pitch. Right. I can go into an office for any company. And you put me in front of a chief marketing officer. I've done the job of his or her direct reports. The job that they haven't done, I've done. The services that I'm selling, I've done, and I've led teams. And I know how to speak the lingo, the buzzwords, the jargon, the KPIs, all that stuff. I know the operation from the inside. Woo! That's a superpower.
That is a superpower.
And I know that superpower, and I stick to that superpower.
But you got to find that superpower, though, man. I mean, that's a difficult thing for most people to dig into, man. I mean, for me, like, I spent a lot of time journaling things that were interesting to me, things that I didn't like about what I was doing, right? And just getting to the core of what I love and what I don't love. I don't think a lot of people spend a lot of time on skill set development. They don't spend a lot of time on the internal work to understand, like, what is that thing that makes me different? What's my value proposition? Like, you found that thing, and now you can clearly communicate it. Not only do companies have trouble doing that in general, people have trouble doing that in general too, man. And you know where I see it the most?
Where?
I see it on people's resumes.
Wow.
I see it on people's resumes every day.
True. And it's so sad.
Lack of clarity is the #1 thing, man. Because I'm like, I look at a resume. I was at USC, and I was at their career fair just volunteering with all these students trying to get into tech, man. And I had this massive line because they put an Amazon stake, and everybody's like, oh, shit.
Go to that guy.
Yeah, go to that guy. And so, like, I was just going one after the other. And man, there was so little clarity. I'm like, who are you on this piece of paper? And they're like, well, I'm just applying for internships everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I get that. But like, what do you know right now? Like, what's your thing?
That's their mistake too, that they're applying everywhere. That's the mistake.
Let them know, Carlos.
If you want a job somewhere, make that your goal.
Yeah.
Put all your emphasis, all your mind power, all your soul, all your passion. If you want to go work at LinkedIn, go work at LinkedIn. Go find a way to make it happen. Even if you have to be the guy or the girl sitting at the front desk asking for people's names when they walk in. At least you're there. No, real talk.
That's right. I mean, whether
don't have this search where you're searching for 30 different companies.
Whether you're an entrepreneur or you're in corporate, man, you got to narrow that focus. You got to know that mission.
People don't know where to start humble though. Because, you want to shoot big. I want to hit Google. I want to hit LinkedIn. I want to hit Amazon. I was working at an advertising and marketing agency before I ever got an internship at Google. Before I ever got the opportunity at Microsoft. I was working in ads. Like I was doing UX design work at an agency, which it was a great experience. I had a great team, great mentorship, great leadership. It taught me a lot. People don't know where to be humble and start small, man. Like I work with Microsoft now, right? I'm going to be working with someone else in the future, but that's because I grinded to this point to work with the brands or the companies that I feel like, oh, there's a fit. I know where I can add value to them. It's really a matter of value exchange too.
Value exchange.
People don't go, people just look for jobs. No. They don't think about where can I create the most value.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even
it's crazy.
Even at like a career fair for students, man, they walk up to a career booth and they say, what do you got for me? It's like, no. What do you got for me? It's like,
no one has anything for you.
No one has
anything for you, man.
You gotta flip the script, man. It's like, here's what I got for you. This is my value to you. Right? Sell your value.
What do you have for me? That's what I think more employers need to ask.
What do you have for me?
What do you have for me, young man or young woman? I think the most important question you will ever be asked in your lifetime is, tell me about yourself.
That's so true.
I can't tell you. So from 2008 to the end of 2011, my company, Jobs Direct USA, back then, hosted recruiting events, job fairs, and events called pink slip parties. Right? So the pink slip parties were hosted in bars on off nights where we'd invite, through LinkedIn, once again, OG, we'd invite recruiters and job seekers to come out and literally network over booze. And I would just see people fumble all the time through this. And then we started doing job fairs, like the traditional job fairs at college campuses, at hotels. And I would always see this question being asked of professionals. Tell me about yourself. And I was surprised to see how many people could not answer that simple question. You should know yourself more than anyone. You should know how to sell yourself, yourself more so than anyone else out there.
Yeah, but it's hard though, man, because knowing yourself, like we are super complex, man. And knowing there are so many dimensions of ourselves, right? There's a dimension of yourself at home, like you talk about.
In your personal life.
What hat you put on, what level of energy you have, right? That person hit you up and you weren't ready to have that level of energy, right? So there's like different versions of ourself that we bring to the table all the time. And so that's what's difficult for people, man. Like I have a self at home with the family. I have a self when I'm hanging out with you, and those are all ourselves, right? But defining your purpose, your mission, whatever it might be, your value proposition is really difficult to do, actually, man. It's difficult to do unless you're super dedicated to put in the work.
Well, then the difference is there's a difference between, to that point, what do you do? So like, what do you do professionally isn't going to change. No matter what avatar or mask you're wearing in that moment. It's who you are, what you do, right? But it's also for someone that's younger, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
That's the key. Because someone who's young starting off doesn't have experience to be able to sell themselves based on experience. But if you have ambition and enthusiasm, you can always sell yourself on what do you want to do and what do you bring to the table from a soft skill standpoint.
And that's why I think education, college can be important now, because college is really just a breeding ground to experiment, test, iterate on, okay, Am I good at this? Oh, no, I suck at that. I don't want to do that. Yeah. Oh, is he doing this? Can I contribute to that as a peer, right? And me and him can build a business together. Yeah. Like, it's that opportunity for people. And that's why I kind of encourage college. But at the same time, I know that we are now living in a creative generation. Yeah. I mean, we're right now in a WeWork. Yeah. There's kids who have WeWork subscriptions now, right? And are collaborating on startups, right? Building media companies. Yeah. It's crazy the generation we live in, but I think that students need to like really deep dive into what makes me special. What is my value proposition? And more importantly, where can I hang with the people that will help me grow, dude? Yeah. Because people think that they have to do it alone. Like, Carlos, did you do it all by yourself?
At early age, I did.
Like, yeah, I did.
Honestly, if I'm gonna be real, at an early age. So very. No. Let me expand on that. That's a very good question.
Yeah,
I didn't have help. Honestly, man, until about I was 28, 29 years old. Other than my mom and dad. Like, I've always looked at my parents as mentors. Because my parents are successful entrepreneurs who I've always wanted to emulate. Yeah. But in terms of like nowadays, how we, again, another buzzword is mentorship. How we throw around, find yourself a mentor. Well, do you realize what it takes to find a mentor? It's not just like, hey, I'm going to send Gary Vee a couple tweets and now the guy's going to mentor me. It's you have to develop a relationship with someone. So you have to use social media, develop that relationship, foster it, bring something to the table, allow yourself to be mentored. So I'd say that for me, right around the age of 28, 29, when I started seeing like, all right, this whole corporate game, I get how it works. It's all about who you know.
Yeah, it's all about who you know.
That's when the light bulb went off in my head. Like, all right, homeboy just got a promotion to senior director because he got hired by this person that then got elevated to this role. Yeah. And then this person kind of came in, and it's like all the same house. Right? It's like when you look at the trajectory, when you look at the trajectory of NFL head coaches, right? And you see like this guy was a head coach, like Andy Reid was a coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He came from Green Bay. I think he came from the 49ers. And it's like now he's produced all these coaches. Belichick has done the same thing. Corporate America runs the same exact way.
Yeah.
So that's when the light bulb started to go off. Like, so true. Homegirl over here is getting a pay increase. I didn't get a pay increase.
Yeah.
Homegirl over here is getting a promotion. 2 levels up. I'm not getting a promotion 2 levels up. Homegirl over here just got their MBA paid for by the company. I'm not getting any education paid for. Why is that? Who am I not aligning with? Who do I not have access to?
Hey,
and that's real talk.
Carlos, bro, you are touching on something so deep right now.
So deep.
Because relationships have been a make or break in my career.
That's it, man.
Honestly, man.
That's the only thing.
But I don't think students realize just how pivotal it is with the future that we're going into, for you to be a relationship building machine. Like, you have to be on LinkedIn building connections. You have to be on Instagram creating content to give value to people who can connect with you, and you can build that long-term relationship. That's what social media is for.
It's a bridge.
It's a bridge. That's it. Same thing as offline too. You have to do it, and a lot of people suck at doing it offline. Like that's the thing. People can, like us three right now. We know how to use LinkedIn. We know how to use Instagram. We know how to use Facebook. But we also know how to do this.
Right.
Have conversations.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like the word networking is like this cliche, though, right, man? Like, it's a cliche.
It is and it's not. Because people think that it's limited, to your point, to just LinkedIn. And it's not. It's not limited just online.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I don't get caught up doing a lot of like the ninja tactics and all this stuff to get all these views, because I know that like at the end of the day that's not going to resonate to where I'm trying to get to, because I'm just trying to build real relationships with people. So if I'm in Seattle, literally this morning I already had business meetings. As soon as I leave here, before I get on stage to do a keynote, I've got meetings before and after, because I already know that before my Seattle trip, I'm going on LinkedIn, I'm seeing who do I know, and I'm pushing those buttons to connect the dots. Next week, Salt Lake City, same thing. The week after that, South by Southwest, this same thing. Like, that's where the networking truly comes in.
That's it.
People don't see the value in it, though, man. They haven't.
It's scary to me,
They haven't been painted the picture of the value. Like, why on earth would I create a video? That's their mentality, right? Like, why would I create a video? And I'm gonna be judged. First of all, that's the biggest thing. I'm gonna be judged. People are gonna like give me horrible comments. And then for what? Like, to risk my corporate job that I already have, right? They have that hit their head, and they're like, what is this gonna bring me? Right? They don't even know what it's for. Right?
Here's what happened. Because this has happened to me.
A lot of people,
it will require a couple of these things to happen before you ever course correct and you become a product of the system. You'll get fired from a job. You'll get fired from a job one time. And you'll be like, yo, this is the last time I ever get let go from a job and not have a plan B. Something to fall back on. Right? It will happen to most people, to good people. I've been let go from jobs many times. And guess what? It took one time before I said, all right, cool. You want to do me dirty like that, dog? I'm going to make sure that I always have a plan B, C through Z lined up. So that's why you network. Okay. And that has nothing to do with content. That has to do with just keeping your house in order. Right? So you're not left on the street with nothing to fall back on.
Exactly, bro.
It's a
exactly.
Number two, here's what will happen. If you never get fired from a job, good on you. But what will happen at some point in your career is you will aspire to have a greater job than what you have right now.
Always.
You will want to make more money. You will be like, man, I've outgrown this manager role. I want to be a director somewhere. And you will start interviewing at companies and you'll get turned down for jobs. Because you don't have that network. So like when you asked me before, like, oh, Carlos, did you have help along the way? Like I can say in the last 5 years I have. But prior to that, no. And I started discovering like, oh man, I'm getting turned down for this job. Shit. Well, who do I know at this company? You know, who can help me? So I then started getting this mindset of like, all right, if I'm applying for a job to work at Visa, who do I know that's in Visa? Who do I know that's connected to the people that are involved in the hiring decision for this role? How can I get in front of them? So again, you lose your job or you aspire to get a better job. That's when the light starts going off. Like I need to do something different to put me out there and build relationships.
Carlos, I want to add one more to that. And John, I want to get what you think on this. You're working in a toxic environment. It's killing you, right? That's when you realize, oh no, like I can't do this. Like this is actually hurting me. Like I don't feel like I need to be who I am. And then you start looking around, or you start doing things outside of work and you're like, wait, I'm really good at this. People like this.
And here's the reality, my brother. I think it takes someone at least, if you're starting with zero, it takes someone at least a good year. If you're in that toxic environment right now, and you're like, oh man, I hate my job, I can't wait to get out of here. And you have not
a lot of students
been investing, and you have not been investing. Forget students, people my age, people John's age, like corporate professional people that are like, oh man, like that personal brand thing's for Gary Vee, that personal brand thing's for John Marty. Carlos Gil does this thing. Oh, I don't have to do that. If you make this conscious decision to say, all right, man, I'm going to start building a brand. I'm going to start building a network to get the better job. It's going to take you a year to do that before you ever get out of that company.
That's right.
Let me tell you something. There's people that work at companies and they don't even know. They work on branding, but they don't know how to build their own personal brand.
Amen
they
to that.
work on building businesses, but they don't know how to build their own personal businesses. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And that's when you start to assess your superpower. When you start thinking of what's next, like how am I going to break out of this? How am I going to create my own checks? That's when you start assessing the playing field. The playing field. Hold on, bro. The playing field is not social media. People think that the playing field is social media. It's all bullshit. The playing field is the people getting in front of the people that write checks, and that's not through social media. It's in person. You can get to those people through social media, but oftentimes those people aren't looking at what you and I do on Instagram. They're not running a YouTube search to find you. We're talking about C-level executives at companies, man. That's real talk. And if you want to get in front of these folks, yes, like it helps to have a polished presence and all that stuff, but they want to know what's in here. So to your point, if you work at a company making $150 a year and you do branding and design, but you can't even do it on your own outside of that company or logo backing you up, what value do you really bring?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. So like, I just want to bring something back to that value creation side of things, man, because I think a lot of young professionals when they're getting started, they are of this mindset that they have to find a passion. Okay, and passion is usually associated with entrepreneurship. Like in America, there's this idea that passion is entrepreneurship, and I don't necessarily think that's the answer, but like the whole idea of you get yourself wrapped up into this idea of like passion is the thing, and it's like it's way too much to handle for people, man. Like I think you have to go into work thinking, I'm going to follow something that's interesting to me, and I'm going to struggle through it, and I'm going to A/B test that. I'm going to see if I actually like it or not. And people don't give themselves enough time or grace, personal grace, right? To say like, I love this thing, I hate this thing, I love this thing, I hate this thing. You went through that cycle to get to a point where you have a lot of clarity. But that clarity doesn't happen right away, man. That clarity doesn't happen overnight. That clarity takes a lot of time, man. I mean, I'm 38 years old, and I'm finally having some serious clarity about the direction I want to take my life, man. And in my 20s, I was an entrepreneur, and it's funny, man. Like, I thought that that's what I wanted, right? But it was just the term. It was the term equaled freedom for me. But it wasn't freedom for me. It was still hard work. But it just...
When you're not making money, I want to interject. It's not freedom.
Yeah, it's not freedom. It's real intense struggle, man. And if you don't have an interest for it, whether it's in corporate America or entrepreneurship, man, it's crazy.
You talked about the gig economy before. I don't think everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. But what I do think is that you have a lot of people out there that are technical specialists that can be consultants.
100%. But you got to build those skills first, man.
And you got to be known for it. You at least got to plug into the gig economy, plug into Upwork, plug into
don't have to be known for it. That's the thing.
Oh, wow.
You just have to know the people that are looking for that skill set. You see the difference there? Again, man, I'm OG. No bullshit. Look, man, let's put the bullshit aside. I can go ahead and tell you, you can make money without ever having a social media presence. I'm not going to feed people a line and make them think you have to do all these things on YouTube and build a personal brand. You have to know how to get in front of the people that cut checks. That's it. For real. And when you get in front of those people, you have to know how to deliver and execute. That's the thing.
But Dang, that's a big one, bro.
But if you deliver, like, so I mean, we're talking about like getting in front of people that cut checks. That's actually a really interesting concept for for young people, man. I think people don't realize how accessible some of the people at the top of these companies actually are through LinkedIn, right?
That's true.
And so you know how to tap into that, right? But like a lot of young professionals could tap into that same thing. Like you could literally reach out to the CEO of a big company that you're interested in and be like, hey, I love what you do. I love what you're doing. Would you be interested in a meeting, man? And like, you never know what's going to happen, man. And their hit up actually way less than you actually think. Especially
you guys want to know, besides hacking into LinkedIn, how I grew my startup back in the day? It was through Facebook.
Through Facebook.
It was by hitting people up. I never hit them up on InMail at all. I would use the directory to find out who I was trying to sell to. And then I would go to Facebook. I'd look them up. And I'd go to Facebook and I'd send them a Facebook friend request.
Wow.
Right? Like just straight gangster. Friend requested. No introductory message. And you know what? I'd sit back and I would social stalk them for a bit. I get to understand what they do. Who are they? Right? Because if you come off aggressive, I think a lot of people make this cardinal sin, this mistake. They come off too aggressive. So if you start to understand who someone is and how they speak on a personal level as well, now they're not wearing the corporate hat. And you can hit people up on Twitter as well. In fact, I advocate don't sell through LinkedIn. When I I'll flip it back over to you. When I worked at LinkedIn, I ran social media for the Sales Solutions business unit, which sells Sales Navigator. I knew on the first time I ever did my first webinar there, this is going to be a problem because I'm being instructed to sell and to teach other sales professionals of how to use LinkedIn and only LinkedIn. The reality is that you don't use LinkedIn to sell. You use LinkedIn to prospect. There's a difference between prospecting and selling. Okay? Big difference. You use it to prospect and then you go everywhere else to get to connect with them so then you can get them in person and sell to them face to face. You're not doing it in an email blast. You're not doing it with a piece of content you're dangling. They don't give a shit about your piece of content. Business executives have needs, and you have to understand what their needs are, and then how you can be the bridge to connect what you bring to the table and what you're good at with what their needs are.
But I mean,
that's crazy.
But granted,
that's facts.
That's at the entrepreneurial level, right? You're connecting with people, you're delivering value to those people, right? But even the people in the job, in the career arena, right? We're not creating content to sell to people, right? Like we're creating content to build connections. And through those connections, we're pulling in people. People are coming to us and saying, hey, that's really interesting. Like, I'd love to work with you or try this, right? You're not even selling anything, right? We're just creating a web where people can stick to. We're always.
But why? Why? Why are you doing that?
Because we want to deliver value to people.
No, you, not we. You. Why do you do it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the context of the YouTube channel, right? So, I mean, why I do it, man? Because I do it specifically because somebody at USC asked me this too. They're like, why'd you come here and speak? Like, why are you volunteering here, man? And I was like, it is my moral imperative. It's my moral imperative because I fell on my ass and I was working at Best Buy for $12 an hour in my 30s going, what am I going to do with my life? Okay, I was like struggling, man. I felt the hurt, right? And I applied to hundreds of companies, and I was like, I'm not getting any traction. So literally, my moral imperative is to help students and young professionals and people find their path, man. So like that all my content on YouTube and the content that we're starting with,
our YouTube channel,
on the YouTube channel, on the career side for people in tech, it's like, dude, that means a lot to me, man.
Yeah. So you're coming from a place of passion, wanting to help others.
100%.
And that's respect.
100%. I don't do it for recognition. I don't care. You know, look, if I can make money doing it, I didn't start with that mentality. I started with the mentality of like, how do I help people at scale through this struggle that I went through? That was the thing that mattered the most to me.
Carl, I want to get your thought on this, man. Because I know John, obviously, and I know what his answer to this would be. But with you, do you believe in purpose?
Absolutely.
You believe in purpose?
I wouldn't be here. God put me on this earth for a reason. I'm the only child my mom ever had. So there's absolutely a reason why I'm here. And that's to motivate, educate, and inspire.
And you believe in checks, too.
Checks are a good thing, but that's not what drives me. Man, you're looking at a guy that's been broke many times before. You're looking at a guy who's had his house foreclosed on. You're looking at a guy who's filed bankruptcy and gone through bankruptcy. Guy who's had cars repossessed. Guy who had nothing. Nothing. But I can also tell you how I rebound from that. I am who I am today, social media aside, because I'm a product of the system. And I feel that the system is broken to a degree. I think the messages that people are subscribing to today are dangerous messages. They're toxic messages. You talked about toxic work environments. I think the online space can be toxic. And if there's any legacy I create after I'm gone, it is you can do whatever you want to do in life. You have to have a plan to get there, and you have to work your ass off. It doesn't matter where you went to school. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You have to have a plan, and you have to execute. And that's what I do every single day. It's not about the money. Money buys things. Money helps me hire people like my man over here. Money helps keep lights on.
It's your growth currency, man.
But what if I told you that I was my most humble and my happiness in life when I didn't have money? Because that's facts. Nowadays, everything's easy. That's on the flip side. What I tell the younger generation, people that I mentor now, that are 18, 19, getting started, I tell them, dude, everything that you find very difficult right now, I find extremely easy. Because once you know the formula, everything in life is easy. To make money, to get hired, to present yourself, to create content, it's all easy. But you got to learn. So it brings me back to a place of, even though I didn't go the traditional route, dude, I've learned a whole hell of a lot that most people that have MBAs and doctorates don't know, because they went the more traditional route. And they subscribe to that. I subscribe to a different path.
Purpose is interesting, man. It's like you look at people in other countries and you look at people even in America, right, in different roles throughout life, and you see certain people have purpose working $10 an hour. Certain people have no purpose working in tech for $300K. So purpose is a mindset. That's crazy. Is a mindset, man. It's like you just have to you have to train yourself to say, I feel like I matter in this. What I'm doing matters, right? Like, I think purpose and mission are a little bit different. You know, it's like mission kind of transcends the self a bit in my mind. It's like something that is like something so bigger than you that like once you pass away, it's like that mission gets taken on by other people. Right. But I think you can have purpose in a lot of things that you do, man.